So, hello Lee, I'm excited.
Hello.
It's my first interview in English, so I'm really happy and I'm really happy and grateful.
Oh,
Yes,
bravo.
you are the first one. So I'm really thrilled to be here with you and very grateful that you found some time in your busy schedule to speak about what you are doing because it looks fascinating. So let me introduce yourself to our viewers. So you are from Australia and you've been living in Europe since 1984,
That's right.
which happens to be my birth year. So it speaks to me. You are a
So
teacher
I've
of
been in Europe as long as you have.
exactly. You are a teacher of Silva Mind Control Method in France. You are director of Silva Mind Control Method in France and in other French-speaking countries. You won the prize for the best teacher of this method, right? So
Yes.
congratulations.
Well,
You wrote a foreword to this book, which is, I think, the first book that you should read if you are interested in Silva Mind Control Method. It's in French. And you are a writer too. You're a speaker, and you wrote a book, The Magic of Make-Believe Beyond Positive Thinking. This one with a beautiful cover. I didn't read it yet. I will certainly. So I'm very happy with you, and I have a few questions. So the first one would be, what brought you to Europe, and how did you become the teacher of mind control methods?
well, originally I just came to Europe for 1 year sabbatical, and I got posted in Paris. I was doing part-time teaching and part-time studying in a mime school, and I was having such a good time. I applied for a second year, and by then I was just so in love with life in Europe and also with my new boyfriend, who is now my husband, that I decided this is it. I'm just going to pull up all my roots from Australia and come and live over here. So that's what happened. And it was my then boyfriend, Michael, who's now my husband, who introduced me to the Silva Method and who also introduced me to Silva International, the organizers of Silva Method, and basically got in touch with them when the post in France went free. So that's what happened. And so I started just organizing, and then I did the training to become an instructor. And I've been teaching Silva Method in Paris since 1988 now.
Yeah, so lots of experience. And what is it, Silva Mind Control Method, for those who don't know? What is it about?
Well, it's very difficult to summarize it because it's enormous. Basic because it's to do with your mind. So the whole idea is that when we say mind control, it's self-mind control. It's teaching people how to use more of their mind, how to use it more efficiently. And there's a whole range of different applications, but basically people can choose what they're most interested in it. So some people will do the class because they want to be more creative. They're artists or musicians. Other people will do it because they want better performance skills in business or in sports, for example. Other people want to improve their intuition. Other people want to use their mind better for learning and concentration and memory. So it will do all of these things, but it's based on our mind works better when our mind and body relaxed and when we're actually producing alpha brain waves. So a lot of the class is just teaching people to relax because stress is the thing that always gets in the way of our mind working well.
Yes, I think we can all relate to it. Me, definitely, I can. After my third week in my new job, I can say that I need, I'm listening to the recording. You kindly send me, so thank you. And it helps me to relax and, to keep cool.
That's great, yeah.
Yeah, so...
we all need it.
Yes, I think we all need it, exactly. Yes, and I think you use hypnosis, right, or like deep meditation or relaxation. So can you describe what is it?
What, meditation?
Because how you there are different applications of the Silva Mind Control Method, but how it
Yes.
works very practically. You told us that it's about relaxation, but how you do it very, in a practical manner.
Well, during the class, we teach people during exercises which will last between 20 to 40 minutes. But the whole goal is that when the class is over, people can go home and just practice by themselves. We recommend they practice at least 15 minutes a day, just closing their eyes and deeply relaxing. And we give them different techniques that they can practice while they're relaxing. So they can just relax and do nothing if they like, just to sort of zap out for a while, or they can use the 15 minutes to, what we say, program. So they can program the day that's coming, or they can program a particular goal or a project that they're working on, and that will get the mind to concentrate and hone in more on what they actually want to do. I mean, one of the questions you said you were going to ask me was the law of attraction.
Yeah.
Well, this is one of the things you can do in our, well, we call it dynamic meditation, so that people just can concentrate on the positive outcome and the very good and happy feelings they'll have when they do succeed. And the whole idea is that puts the law of attraction into motion.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, sounds really exciting. And so, how do you do it? Like, you need a recording, you need to listen to someone talking to you, or you can do it on your own?
Well, I do recordings to help people up at the beginning or when they're really tired and they're feeling a bit lazy. But the whole goal is that people can do it by themselves. So they don't need to be dependent on anything external. They can just, anywhere they can find where they can just sit down quietly and shut their eyes, even if it's on a train, they can do their dynamic meditation or their relaxation for the day.
Okay, so it's all about being relaxation and imagination, right? Like
exactly, yes.
And
yes.
Yeah,
so we give a lot of training too on how to create mental pictures more clearly and more vividly, so that when you're thinking of a goal, when your imagination is really stimulated, then you can actually feel you're already in the goal, and you can see and smell and touch and taste everything as if it's already happening.
Yes. And it works, I suppose, because you are in it since quite some time, and lots of people are also experienced, I think, how it works. And do you have any examples of people who came to you with some issues or some challenges and it worked for them? The method really helped them to improve some areas of their lives?
Well, in general, hundreds.
Yes.
In fact, what makes me really happy is when people will come back to resit the seminar, because once you've done it, you can resit as many times as you like. And this is worldwide. So when people will come back sometimes 5, 10, 15 years later and say, the Silva method changed my life. And I'll say, wow, that's great. Do you practice it a lot? And I say, oh, yes, every day, so that they've really made it their own rather than depending on somebody else. But I would say the big changes are people just feel that their own personality has changed. They feel happier. They feel more confident. They don't worry as much about things. Sometimes people have had huge health challenges and they've been able to get rid of that, and today they're perfectly healthy. So all sorts of things.
Perfect. And could you please explain a little bit about different state of consciousness? Because the goal is to bring the mind to some level of brainwaves, if you call them so, right?
Right. Okay, so well, brainwaves are actually measurable, but consciousness isn't.
Okay, it's not the same.
But we do use brainwaves so that we can explain to people what we're talking about. So, in fact, most of the day, an adult human being walking around with his eyes open and inactive will be at what we call the beta brainwave frequency. This is above 13 or 14 cycles a second. So that's what we call the normal waking state of consciousness. Now, when people close their eyes and relax, they will start to slip quite easily into a slower brainwave frequency, which is the alpha brainwave frequency. And that's when you're still perfectly conscious, but your body is much more relaxed and your mind is much more focused. So in a way, it's almost like you're more awake, because that way, when your mind is focused, you can really concentrate on what you want to be thinking about, rather than have all these different pensées parasites, all these different distracting thoughts coming and going and just drifting away. So that's why we call it Silva Mind Control. You get to control the mind better and really concentrate on what you want to concentrate on. So that's what we call the alpha brainwave frequency. When people relax a little bit more, they will then go into theta brainwave frequency. Now that's right on the verge of sleeping. So people are still aware, but they're not very good at actually consciously directing their own thoughts at that moment. So they will be able, that's like deep meditation when they're thinking of nothing, or they're thinking of just a mantra, or it's like hypnosis where somebody will be able to hear and understand what's being said to them, but doesn't want to actually initiate anything themselves. And then finally you get what we call the delta brainwave frequency, and that's just fast asleep. That's very, very deep sleep.
Thank you very much. So in Silva Mind Control Method, the goal is to bring people to which one? Which state?
Alpha brainwave frequency.
Yes.
Not all the time, just at those moments when they want to relax and they want to concentrate,
Yes.
and to work on something mentally.
Okay, perfect. And what's the difference? Because you are also a hypnotherapist, right? But it's a different thing than Silva Mind Control Method, or it's the same?
Well, it's very much related. Whereas Silva Mind Control Method, the whole goal is that people learn how to work on themselves. Some of the techniques you could almost say are self-hypnosis techniques, whereas hypnosis, almost by definition, is you have a hypnotist and you have a subject, and there the subject doesn't have to need to know anything about their mind whatsoever. It's like, okay, I'll shut my eyes, you take over, you tell me what to do. And then as a hypnotherapist has to have the techniques and the knowledge how to guide that person. This said, however, I found the more I work on hypnotherapy, once you've been able to connect with that person at that deep state of consciousness, they do find that they have wonderful inner resources themselves. So hypnosis actually helps them to access their own inner creativity and imagination and memory and all of those things that we forget about when we're in a waking state of consciousness.
Perfect. So you also teach hypnosis, not self-hypnosis, right?
Yes.
Perfect. And what are the different trainings that you offer? What are the different applications or themes?
Well, I offer a complete hypnosis training course with a certificate from the National Guild of Hypnotists in the United States. And I also offer extra hypnosis training like hypnosis for children, gastric band hypnosis for weight loss, what we call parts therapy. So I have a whole range of different hypnotic subjects. And then I also have extra classes for the Silva method, like there are advanced classes. So you can do advanced intuition and advanced manifesting and just keep on after the original course if you want to. And then just occasionally there's courses that are just open to the general public. They don't need any prerequisite whatsoever. For example, coming weekend, I'm doing a class on self-sabotage and the law of attraction. So that's basically for people who don't have either the hypnosis or the Silva method training, but who want to learn a little bit about how to, get rid of their self-sabotage, how to use the law of attraction, how to manifest things in their life.
Perfect.
So I don't teach anything that I haven't found passionately interesting myself.
Yeah, that's great. And exactly, self-sabotage. How
Yes.
to, we all have some habits that we don't like, we want to change. Like for me, example, easy being late, unfortunately. It happens quite frequently. Other people, it might be gambling, smoking. How to change it with Silva Mind Control Method or hypnosis? How does it work? What can we do?
Well, in the Silva Mind Control Method, we use what we call the mirror of the mind. This is where you go to your alpha level and you create a great big mirror, and in it you start to imagine the sort of person you want to be. And this is where imagination is really important, because you start to act out and rehearse in advance all the benefits, all the advantages you want to have in your life when you stop this bad habit. And then we ask people to practice that every single day, at least once a day for 30 days, because any sort of habit needs repetition. Now, the self-sabotage comes in when people find that even though they're visualizing every single day and they're getting really good pictures of what they want, it's like something that's in their unconscious mind is going, oh, no, you don't. I'm going to stop you doing that. And in my training and in my belief system now, very, very strongly, there is no part of ourselves that exists that doesn't have a positive intention. So in the self-sabotage class, we go to just enough altered state of consciousness for the person's partner to talk to the part of themselves that's actually creating the problem and find out what it is that they're trying to achieve and recognize it and even say, well, bravo, you're doing a great job, because most of that part of ourselves that is self-sabotage normally gets criticized and run down and rejected and hated, and so it will go underground. But we find that when you actually say to this partner, hey, you're doing a wonderful job of helping these people do such and such, but do you think we could find maybe another way of doing it? Because this person's very unhappy with the way that you're doing it, and maybe we can negotiate and do another way, and we get amazing results like that.
So it's a little bit about self-love, actually, and accepting the good intention behind the behavior, right?
Yes.
I like it.
You just have to find out what the good intention is. It's a bit crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time, it's just a part of the person trying to protect them. People, for example, you've heard of this so-called fear of success. So that occasionally when people are just on the point of getting a really good contract, or they've got a very important interview, they'll do something silly, or they'll forget the time of the interview, or they'll turn up late, or they'll get sick, and they say, how can I have done this to myself? And it's actually part of them trying to protect them from what it sees like will be too much for them if they succeed. So then you have to work out how the protecting part will actually give them permission to succeed a certain amount of their life.
And I suppose it makes me think about some beliefs that we can have, and I suppose you also work on changing the negative ones to more positive.
Of course,
ones.
Yes.
Perfect. And about hypnosis, I think there are some misconceptions. People might fear hypnosis. So what are the misconceptions, like the main ones that you can,
Well, I have to admit, I had all the main ones myself before I learned what hypnosis really was. But the big one is people think hypnosis is sleep, and in fact, you are very aware and very conscious. You never sort of zap out during hypnosis. Otherwise, what would be the point? And if you want to, you can remember absolutely everything that happened during a hypnosis session, probably better than if you were in a waking state. So that's the first one. People are totally aware, and it's actually a it's based on a natural sort of daydreaming state. It's just that with a hypnotist you can deepen it a little bit and guide it better. The second big misconception is that the hypnotist can control you. Now, a hypnotist cannot even put you into hypnosis if you don't want to do it. It's got to be a sort of cooperation between the hypnotist and the subject. And also, if the hypnotist will tell the subject to do something while they're in hypnosis and they don't want to do it, they just won't do it. And all these things you see on stage hypnosis is totally built on the idea that the people who are the volunteers on the stage are going up there because they're going to have fun and they're going to make people laugh, and that's their goal. So, yes, they will do weird things, but they will never do anything that is dangerous for them, either physically or even morally. They'll just stop or they'll come out of hypnosis.
Yeah, so it's reassuring that we have control, and I was surprised myself when I've done it once. I thought that I would be like in a deep sleep, and I didn't, and I wasn't in a deep sleep. I was completely aware from the beginning until the very end.
Oh, good. So you know what it's like.
A little bit, you know.
Yeah.
It was a good experience.
And it's actually a very wonderful feeling.
Yeah.
Because it's a feeling of just letting go and contacting your inner self, and it just feels really, really good. So, some people actually say, "Oh, I'm a hypno junkie. I love it so much," and no side effects. No, it's a really good feeling.
My motivation would be if I want to go more into hypnosis, would be to connect really to my deep inner voice, my intuition, and my
absolutely.
Yes.
Now, this is the more I learn and the more I practice hypnosis, the more I realize that it's not up to me to think of some beautifully worded suggestion for my subject. It's more up to me to ask the right questions so that subject will then go into themselves and find the answer themselves. And people come up with the most amazing stuff when you do that. For example, one of the things I do all the time is called hypnotic regression. So somebody will come to me with a problem, and instead of saying to them, well, you don't have that problem anymore, you don't need it, blah, 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 I'll say, well, the problem started somewhere for a reason, so let's go back in time. Now, of course, the subject will say, well, I've got no idea when or where it started. And I say, that's all right. Your conscious mind doesn't need to know. So the minute they're in hypnosis, their inner conscious mind can then guide them. So I'll just say, allow your inner conscious mind to guide you back to the time when the problem got started for the very first time. And back they will go. And they're always saying later, I had no idea it was that. And how did I find that? And it's definitely it, because usually there's a big sort of emotional reaction or recognition. And, oh, my God, I had no idea it was that. And then we're able to deal with it at the moment when it started, rather than from the adult's point of view, just remembering it in the past sometime. And that's extremely powerful. I've had a lot of very, very good results with that.
Sounds interesting. And do we need someone to guide us, or can we do it on our own? Can we be...
It is possible to do it on your own. I don't recommend it, because if people land in a very uncomfortable situation, they might just get immersed in it and into their emotions and not have anybody to sort of be there to say, just, okay, step out of it now, go forward, you're okay. Now we'll look at it from a different point of view. It's much more comfortable to do it with a hypnotist, but it is possible by yourself. I've done it by myself.
Okay, yes. It's possible that it's not recommended, especially at
It's
first.
not recommended.
Yes. Perfect. And I have some tricky questions. Tricky. It's not tricky. They are, for me, really important. So, do you believe, maybe it's not appropriate to ask it, but in your belief system, do you believe that we have soul? Do you believe in reincarnation or no?
You say in this system. Well, the system, for example, Silva Method and hypnosis, I will teach to anybody, regardless of their individual beliefs. So really, I can't answer for the system, but for myself, yes, for me, it's just so obvious. It's not a question. And in fact, in one of my very, very favorite courses, which is a hypnosis class, we actually take people back to before they were born. So they reconnect with when they were in the soul level, and they then recall why they wanted to come to the planet Earth and why they wanted to be born in a particular place and time so that they could achieve their mission on the planet. And that is a very, very moving experience. I love doing that.
That's wow, that's powerful, I think, and I think everyone needs it at some point and ask themselves this type of questions at some point. So it's great to have some tools to dig deep inside and to find out why we are here actually, what's the goal, what's the purpose.
Indeed. And this is based on a system called Life. It's called Life Between Lives, actually, this particular hypnosis that I practice. But it's fascinating to see how hypnosis is moving away from the old idea of sleep, you are under my control, to a much more spiritual idea of what we can achieve when we're in this state of mind.
Perfect. Wow. Okay. And also, I have a question. It's a bit different one, but it's important to me. I have some thyroid issues. You know, I'm far better now than previously. But what interests me is like why we get sick. Basically, even though we still need to go to the doctor and take medicine, and that's for me, it's obvious. It's like like logic. But at the same time, I believe that sometimes we might have some emotional reasons to get sick, and how hypnosis might help us to find out what's the message. And maybe if we know the message, if we know the reason, if we dig deep, and we find out the reason, we might heal ourselves. Do you have any examples, or what do you think about it?
So the question is, why do we get sick?
Why do we get sick, and why? How can we heal ourselves, right?
Okay. Well, I think we do have to remember that we are mind-body, so that if we get sick, we need to do all the physical things to look after ourselves, like eat well, rest, take medication if it's necessary, put ointment on a wound if it's necessary, all that sort of thing. But behind all that, there's also, of course, not just our mental attitude, which is extremely important, the idea of will I get better, can I heal, but also sometimes I believe we get sick, but we have a lesson to learn. And so we need to go behind and find, what can this illness teach me? And I'm quite amazed at the number of people I have met who have had cancer, for example, who have been healed or treated and cured. And then they will turn around and say to me, that cancer was the best thing that happened to me in my life. Now, why are people saying I was terribly ill and it was the best thing? Because they learnt something. Sometimes you just learn to appreciate how valuable and how precious life is, and to just appreciate one day at a time. And these are the people who used to be always running around and worrying and doing things for other people and never looking after themselves. And so they will say, it just taught me to step back and look at myself and realize how wonderful life can be, and to make absolutely the most of every minute of every day that I have to live. So that's one of the things. But attitude makes a huge difference. And this is not just Silva Method or hypnosis will say that, but more and more doctors today, particularly in a field of medicine which is called psychoneuroimmunology, are doing research and showing how the huge difference that it's made in people's healing rates when they have a positive attitude and when they expect to get better. Whereas people who worry, who get depressed, who say, oh my God, I'm getting sick, and who actually visualize their illness as something like an evil monster devouring them, then they're actually empowering their illness. So these doctors, for example, Carl Simonton is a very famous cancer doctor. He would recommend people to do, well, he actually recommended the Silva Method, and he would say you need to go to your alpha level every day, and you need to visualize your body and your immune system and your cells being healthy and just eliminating all the cancerous cells or the viruses from your body. So again, we're getting back to relaxation and visualization.
Yes, so thank you. That's very empowering, really, I think. And so if I sum up, like really, to the most important message that I can get is like imagination and attitude are really important, and what the scenarios that we might create in our heads are really important. So
yes. And sometimes these scenarios are far more powerful than what we will say, because we think we're saying the correct thing, but in fact in our minds we're thinking and feeling and seeing pictures that are totally different to what we're saying. So we need to be really, really aware of what the power of our mental images and our emotions.
Yes. So maybe just the very last question, I think. So how to get control of our mind, basically, and what can we do on a daily basis just to be more conscious and have better images in our heads.
Yeah, and I think all of us need to actually set a little bit of time aside each day just to relax, and it doesn't even have to be sitting down with their eyes closed. I mean, more and more people, for example, are practicing mindfulness, where instead of just running around, just taking a moment to breathe and relax and just what's happening and be aware of ourselves and just to slow down. And then when we're aware of maybe negative thoughts and worries, to just say, well, I can choose a different picture. For example, if I use this in the class. If you're a mother waiting for your adolescent son to come home and he's late and you're going, oh my goodness, maybe he's had an accident, maybe he's in drugs, and you're allowing, in fact, your mind to create all these terrible pictures. And you could just think, well, maybe he's just having such a great time with his friends, he hasn't looked at the time. And then sure enough, 5 minutes later, he turns up. Hi, Mum, sorry, I was having such a good time, I nearly forgot, but I'm home. But we create all this unnecessary suffering and torment because we don't know how to control our mental pictures.
Great. Perfect. So where can we find some more info on your workshops, on your books? Do you have a website?
Well, I have 3. Wow. So what I would recommend is I have just a one-page website. It's in English and in French. And you have to click on the flag to get the English or the French. And it's just leepascoe.com. That's leepascoe.com. If you go onto that, then it will give you a link to go to my Silva Method website and all the description and the dates and the classes on that, or to my hypnovision.net website. And because I've got two totally separate websites for that for administration purposes. So if they go to leepascoe.com, they will see where to go for anything else. And they can even buy some CDs if they want to.
Yes, great. Why not? I will put the link below the video. What are you working on now? What are your projects? And is something exciting in the air? Something new?
Something new?
I don't know. What are you?
At the moment, my projects are just keeping. I've got so many classes coming up. So people don't realize just how much organizing, enrolling people and keeping the website up to date. So I'm doing my administration as well as the classes. I'm also organizing 9 instructors now for Silva Methods who are working for me and with me, which is great. But probably, so what are my projects? Well,
maybe
I've got several things. My most recent project has been the Hypnosis Gastric Band. That's just for hypnotists. This is one where it will help them to take clients who are really, really having trouble with weight problems, and you would actually take them through an imaginary operation. And it's amazing because afterwards people actually feel that their stomach has shrunk.
Wow.
And they cannot eat large quantities anymore. And I've had people lose like 7 or 8 pounds in 1 week without trying to diet or anything like that. And then it would just be continuous. So that was the most recent. And the next class that's coming up later on this year that is new. Oh gosh, there's several, but one will be hypnosis for children, which I think is fabulous.
Wow!
And that, because children are already so imaginative. They just need that little nudge from someone who respects their imagination and helps them to use it in a positive manner, and you can get wonderful results from kids.
Wow, sounds great. Sounds really nice. Do you have a final message to leave to
my
people?
Final message, because you haven't asked me for it, is my favorite quotation.
Yeah, okay. Wow, okay.
It's a Jose Silva quotation, and it's: the greatest discovery you can ever make is the potential of your own mind. How's that?
Wow.
Yeah.
I would need to put some music. Okay, thank you very much, Lee. It was really a great pleasure to talk to you.
You're very, very welcome. Now send me a link so I will know how to see this myself.
Oh, sure I will. Not to worry. I will certainly. As soon as I can. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not after tomorrow, but bear with me. You will have the video. No, you will be on air.
Okay. Thank you very, very much. It's been a great pleasure. And thank you for speaking to me in English.
Oh, yes. I did my best.
Bravo. You did great.